Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you, Tony. We're here with Tony Joyce at Chelsea Groton Bank on Water Street in the beautiful town of Mystic. And I've known Mr. Joyce for almost 15 years, all the way back when he was the chair of the board at Bacchus Hospital prior to Bacchus joining the Hartford Healthcare. So it's great to meet you in your domain, Tony.
Great to welcome you here. Glad you could come over.
Thank you. We are conducting this whole series of interviews with leaders in the community, more around leadership during the pandemic. And as you know, of all people, being in the board, involved in healthcare for many years, health is personal and it affects every single one. And in your role as a leader in the financial side with banking, financial health and wellness is a key component of health as we saw it in the last 2 years after the pandemic. How are you doing overall? How has the pandemic been for you?
Doing great now. The pandemic for us was an interesting challenge, as it was, I'm sure, for everybody. First and foremost, we were concerned about the health of our employees and our customers. When you get such a rapid and severe change like that, it was a real challenge for us, right? We have a business that normally puts us in close contact with our customers, both on our telelines and in our office. So we had to deal with that. We have employees that work in close proximity to each other. We were obviously concerned about that. So we had to pivot, pretty severely. And if somebody had asked me if we would have been able to do what we did right before the pandemic, I would have said no way. But it was a great challenge for us, and our employees all across the bank stepped up in a big way, really performed, things that we never would have dreamt we were able to do.
You mentioned employees and team members. How many do you have across Connecticut?
We have about 215 round numbers employees. We're pretty much centered in southeastern Connecticut, New London County. We do have a loan production office in Glastonbury, but most of our people are local to this area, generally speaking.
Did the bank ever stop?
We never closed. We did have to transition. You see our branches here where we have walk-in traffic every day. What we transitioned to was we did close the lobbies, but our drive-up windows were open in every office. We never closed. So
fantastic.
And you can imagine during that time period, people were concerned about their health, but when it comes to your finances, it's a very personal thing as well. People get nervous about the safety and access to their money. So that was a big message we tried to get out right away. Well, we didn't want people walking in and exposing themselves and everybody else to a very unknown and dynamic enemy that we had at the time. We didn't want them to feel comfortable that they had access to their money. We did hold by appointment if somebody really had a bigger transaction that they would feel comfortable handling through a drive-up. We were doing office hours by appointment. I think we did a great job. While in the beginning it was like, okay, I'll try. Yeah. Everybody really responded very well.
Incredible.
So, encouraging to watch. Yeah.
How did the mission and the vision of Chelsea Groton help you lead the organization?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Our mission is to help our customers and our communities achieve their goals by taking them on as if they were ours. What we tried to do is stay mission focused and say, okay, put yourself in our customer's mind. What would you be concerned about? So we tried to react the best we could to those factors and those questions. And that's where we said, no, look, we want to make sure everybody still has access to information and they can do what they need to do day to day, and we'll change how we deliver that service, keeping the customer's goals in mind and saying, okay, we're not going to disrupt your life. We want to make it easier. So, we have, we morphed into more video, online chats and video banking, drive up, again, as limited as we could, in-person banking if that's the only way we could do it. So, we were going to morph. We didn't want to make our customers have to.
Fantastic. That is just incredible. The parallels that you described with telebanking, video visits, drive-through banking, it almost sounds like healthcare. You're taking care of individuals' financial health on a daily basis. So of all these different innovations that you and your team implemented, what's the one thing that you're most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of the fact that we were able to pivot, and not only did we change our branch service delivery, but all of our back office people, our main office people, we had to transition to working from home. And that was a huge undertaking, and that, more than anything else, I would not have predicted our ability to do it, but our IT guys are amazing. They got everybody set up in a period of probably less than a week to go from coming into work and sitting in an office every day to replicating their workstations at their home locations without skipping a beat.
And to do it with the same speed, efficiency, and security.
And actually probably more so than our normal pace, because at the same time we were carrying that out, the government rolled out a paycheck protection program, which was designed to assist companies in keeping their people on the payroll and not putting them onto unemployment, given the fact that they had, huge disruptions in their revenue streams. So we had that added burden, which really we ended up doing about 5 years worth of business in about 2 months.
That's incredible.
Adjusting to a new program, adjusting at the same time to working from home, and having to figure out ways to get documents back and forth. I mean, it was a real undertaking, and I would say that I'm most proud of the fact that we were able to morph our way of doing business into working remotely without really skipping a beat. And really, again, we talked about the health, the mental health of I think it gets underplayed, but if you roll the clock back to when this pandemic started, small business owners had no idea what they were in for, what they were in the middle of, how they were going to make it through, what was going to happen. So we were, it was our mission to, again, help them achieve their goals and try to eliminate that one source of concern, take on their need to get continued financing to keep their people working through this paycheck protection program. So, that was a big part of our efforts. That look, we'll help you, we'll get you there. Relax about that part. You figure out how to do the rest of what you do. We'll help you get your money to stay open during this time period. So that, and we did over 1,000 of these loans for about 120 million plus or minus in this small community of southeastern Connecticut.
Amazing.
Yeah, we were able to. I mean, it saved countless jobs and really probably countless small businesses from really incurring more damaging losses than, and legitimately going out of business.
That's incredible.
So yeah, we're really proud of that.
And I'm sure it was not an easy job to coordinate this at a big scale in a compressed timeline like you described. What's the one lesson that you wish you knew earlier that you would want to share with other leaders in banking industry and elsewhere?
We were, luckily for us, and I won't claim credit for this because I didn't have any part of it, but we were prepared for a different reason to work remotely, and that was because of the vision that some of our IT people had and some of the bank's senior management had, that it was more to be prepared for what we were encountering for maybe a natural disaster or something like that, but to stay current and to look ahead and say, what tools do we need? What techniques do we need? Not envisioning a pandemic, but, it was one of these things we said, look, in the future, we're going to need to be able to, have a few people maybe work remotely. So by being aware of that and by trying to stay ahead of the trends, we were in position to probably handle it better than some of our other industries and people in our business that hadn't really focused on that. So it was still a daunting challenge, but we were a step ahead. So I think the lesson was you can't get too complacent in the way you're doing things now. You have to have your eye on the future, your eyes on the horizon all the time.
Yeah, and speaking of eye on the future, where do you see yourself, Chelsea Groton, banking industry in general, being in the next 5-10 years? Do you have the crystal ball?
I wish I did, but no, I don't. It's an interesting dynamic. There's a lot of consolidation in the banking industry. For us, we're a mutual bank. That means we're not stock owned, so we can't get taken over. I mean, we could voluntarily merge with another institution if that made sense. But most importantly, what that means for our customers, that the name over the door isn't going to change unless it makes sense and we want it to. But we don't have any visions of doing that. As a mutual, we don't march to anybody else's tunes other than our own. We can have a longer term approach. We can do things that make sense for us as a business and as an industry, and we're not beholden to stockholder meetings on a quarterly basis where you have to achieve what we consider to be potentially sometimes artificial deadlines. What we've tried to do is bring as many touch points and different ways for people to transact business with the bank. So we're sort of keeping a foot in each boat. We have the traditional customers that still like to come into the teller line and update their passbooks and do things, the way they've been done for the last 100 years. We also have tried to stay current and stay ahead of the technology, offer mobile banking, so some people, most of their banking is there, here's your branch, right? Here's your bank. That's the way they want to do business.
It's full service.
Right. And so, we've had to transition to that. So, we have all of the online and mobile products that people want as well. So that's a big challenge for us because, you really have to balance both.
To be agile and to really succeed in a hybrid world.
Absolutely. That's another aspect of the hybrid world we're in.
So as we navigate the pandemic, we're not done yet, obviously. What would you tell our general community members around financial health and well-being? What are some of those 3 biggest tips that you would want them to know about?
Well, first and foremost, I would say plan, and plan, right? Plan for retirement eventually. We're all facing that. In the old days, we watched our parents retire with big pensions. Those are largely a thing of the past, so it's more on each individual to take charge of their financial well-being, their financial wellness, and plan for the future. Make sure the people you're doing business with as well protect your identity. I mean, that's cyber crime is a big challenge for all of us. So be aware of that. Pay attention to people asking you for financial information. So it's incumbent upon all of us to do that. I mean, the bank, we have education programs that we roll out regularly on both of those topics. I think for the most part, those would be the 2 big things. Make sure you're planning, you're taking charge of your own financial well-being, and protect your information.
No different than health. We need to know the numbers in health, a plan for health and well-being, and protect the health. One last question. What do you think is the biggest form of wealth?
Well, I think you're wealthy if you're comfortable and you're healthy. So that's a big part of it, and I think that definition of wealth is going to be an individual one. Some people have wealth in the financial sense that they've earned and very proud of, inherited, which is nice if you can get it. But I think that's a very individual answer. For me, I would say I'd be wealthy if I had time. Time for family, friends. You can never get enough. If you can make more and you can figure out how to make more, I'm all ears for that.
Love it. Time is money. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I want to thank your team for hosting us. Thank Heather for all her expertise. We could not do this work at Eastern Connecticut Health Collaborative without partners such as Chelsea Groton and our community partners. So we thank you for that.
Thank you, and thank you for what you do. We're, a big part of our goal is the health of our communities, health, and both financial and physical health. Our foundation does a lot to contribute to a lot of the local nonprofits. Our belief is that healthy communities are good for the individuals and good for the bank as well.
Fantastic. And on behalf of the Mashantucket Pequot tribe, we have a small little gift for you.
Oh, thank you.
It's just we're not done with the pandemic, but it's just a commemorative coin for us to look back, hopefully with some lessons learned, like we shared today, some sense of accomplishment of navigating this with as little damage as we possibly could, and preparing for the next one.
I was going to say we'll be better prepared next time around. God forbid we have to deal with it again, but I think we've taught ourselves, both in the bank and the community, some valuable lessons on things to look out for.
Better together.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.